Hi, this is Jackie's Reading Room, and I'm your host, Jackie P. Have you turned some pages today? If you're an avid reader like me, are there authors that you especially like and that you keep coming back to? Writers that you've enjoyed and whose work you gravitate to, naturally. Maybe you follow these authors on social media, and maybe you even attend events they take part of. In the last few years, there's been a lot of online events. So I find that authors have become even more accessible. Well, today I'd like to talk about a writer I enjoy, and I'm happy to say that she is from my hometown of Montreal, Canada, and her name is Catherine Mackenzie. We also have something else in common, the fact that we both studied at McGill University. She has a degree in history and law, and I don't. Catherine was actually a lawyer for 20 years before she decided to write full time. And if you were in Montreal, and I say this because this is the area where I live, and I know the bookstores and libraries here, you would find a wide range of her titles. It would be interesting to see if possibly in the United States you could find them, but it would be interesting to see if elsewhere in the world it's easy to find her material. If you go to her website, it's very easy. It's catherinemckenzie.com. I will put the link in the notes afterwards. You'll discover that she's written 14 novels, which are split into two categories. You've got the thriller suspense category and women's fiction. I have actually a few of her books in my own bookshelves. And from what I saw, I have a bit uh, of both. Some in that thriller suspense category, and some in the women's fiction. Catherine also participated in some anthologies, including Montreal Noir. I don't know if you know this collection. It starts with the name of a city and then noir. So it's a collection of dark stories that take place in that city. I can think of Vancouver Noir, Chicago Noir. I believe there is a Toronto Noir, and so on. So I think this would be worth checking. I don't know if I mentioned this in my former podcast on reading noir, but perhaps I should have an episode just on that at some point. Who knows? So the two books I'd like to focus on today are part of the thriller suspense category. And from previous episodes, you know that it's something that I enjoy reading. Last week, I told you about Iceland Noir. Many of those books um, are, thrillers and kind of detective stories from these authors that will be at the festival. So, the first book is entitled The Good Lawyer. It came out in 2018, and it was named one of Goodreads' 40 hottest thrillers of 2018. So, I think that's pretty cool. Um, and really, the book is the story of three women and how their lives are going to be forever changed after an explosion in Chicago. So you've got a woman who basically flees the scene, and she goes to Montreal. And so that's really interesting because, well, I live in this area, but I also have visited Chicago many times. So any story that takes place in Chicago, I love. And then you have the woman who lost her husband and best friend in the explosion. And then this other girl, young woman who is looking for her mom. Anyway, and then you kind of you find out what links them and how their lives are affected. I find that a lot of Catherine's books, they ask the question, "What if?" So, what if there was an explosion and you were either there or you were um, either part of it, or there was an impact in your life. One of her titles, I believe it was one of her earlier books, is called Forgotten, and when the a woman comes back from a trip after like a long time, and when she comes back, she realizes that it's like she died, because she came back so much later and couldn't get in touch with anyone. So it sort of asked the question: what if you arrived back home and you realized, well, that's it, my life as it was no longer exists. I think it's fascinating to even just think about that and then write a story around that. I think that's brilliant. So I really enjoyed The Good Lawyer, Liar, not lawyer, The Good Liar. And on the, I have the book here, and on the cover it says, "Everybody lies, everybody hides." And I thought it was an interesting, I guess, quote, because in the book, obviously there are a lot of lies. So I thought that was very interesting, very clever. And I also find that Catherine has a very good way of shaping her characters. And I've said this before, quite likely, I get attached to characters. And some of them, I believe that all the characters that you read about, they stay with you somehow and they shape who you are. So I think this was an example. The second book I'd like to tell you about is I'll Never Tell. It came out in 2019. And her newest book that just came out in August of 2022 is entitled Please Join Us. And both I'll Never Tell and Please Join Us have been optioned for development into TV series. So that's something to look forward to. And I'm sure it's going to be extremely interesting. So for I'll Never Tell, the story is that this girl was found dead at a summer camp, and this was 20 years before the action of the novel takes place. And the camp was taken care of by this family. And when the parents die suddenly, they have all the children, so all the siblings, they have to meet at the camp, and they have to read the will. Now, in the will, it says that they have to, before they can do anything, they have to, and I quote, unravel the mystery of what happened to Amanda, that girl who was found dead at summer camp. So in the she was found in a boat. So um, once again, well, I was somebody who went to summer camp. My daughters have gone to camp, so I think that the setting of the summer camp is always something that's interesting, because there are stories that happen at a camp that never go out, or there are unfortunately tragic stories. There are also amazing memories that you have from going to camp. If ever anyone listening can remember of maybe moments that you spent in a camp. So I loved how every sibling has its own relationship with the camp itself. And some of them, let's say one of the sons wants to sell because he needs the money. Somebody else, there's a pair of twins, they are not sure what they think. They actually have different views. So the whole family dynamics, that was very well done. And it's very mysterious, because you go also, you there are flashbacks, so you go back in time to that time at the camp to, and as you go along, there's like a timeline, I remember in the book, where you find out different things about different people, where somebody was at that time, so makes that person potentially the person who beat up that young girl, um, or not. Maybe it eliminates some people. Anyway, so I thought that was very cleverly done. So I'll Never Tell. Clearly an interesting book. On Catherine's website, you have all kinds of information. All her books are there. Her events, appearances. I saw that in August and September of this year, she was promoting the new book. Please Join Us, both in Canada and the U.S. Um, and I'm sorry that I missed that, but for sure the next book is coming up in June of 2023, so something to look forward to. But in the meantime, I have to catch up. There are quite a few that I have not read, and you know, even on my bookshelf, I have at least four that I haven't read yet. But the newest one, Please Join Us. The premise looks very interesting. So if you want to check this out, perhaps at your local library, local bookstore, and you can click on the link for her website from the notes. And I find that discovering new authors, well, for me, it's such a source of joy, and um, I I'm somebody who loves to learn, and so that's why possibly I love to read, because I find that even when I read fiction, I learn a lot. So certainly, this must have given you some ideas. I certainly hope. Keep on turning those pages, please. And in the meantime, and until next time, I want to say, take good care of yourselves. Bye bye.